Hi everybody, Mr. B here. Now this week we're going to play another version of Battleship, only instead of using the bowling skill like we did last week, we're going to be using the overhand throw. Now I have Mrs. B over there. She's the ninja over there in case you don't recognize her. Okay, she looks like a ninja today because she's wearing her gaiter or mask. It's actually a gaiter for her because as I explained last week, we're in our easement. So anybody from our neighborhood might walk through here. So because we might come into contact with people, we need to have one of these on. Now, Mrs. B is also using one of them for what they're actually for, which is sun protection. So she doesn't want to get her sunburned. I'm wearing sunblock. She's got sunblock and bug spray and a gaiter on. All right, so the game works very similar to how we played last week. So let me try and get out of the way here. Mrs. B is on the purple battleship today. Now, I didn't use all purple cones today because just like we talked about last week, you can use anything for cones. And as we talked about last week and in some of the other activities, the bigger your cones are that we're knocking over, the easier they are to hit. And the bigger the ball, the easier they are to hit. So you can use something like a water bottle. Again, we have various types of cones out there. We use some orange juice bottles, which are much bigger because they're going to be a little bit easier to knock down. This game's going to be pretty challenging. Now, instead of just using one bowling ball like we used last week, we are going to be using sock balls. Now, the reason you want to use a sock ball, and we also have some yarn balls, is because if we miss, they're not going to keep rolling. Whereas, I'm going to move down there. If we throw a ball like this one, which is perfectly round, kind of like a tennis ball or something like this, if I throw it and miss, it's just going to keep rolling. And now Mrs. B is going to have to go get that one. You can't tell because of the gaiter, but she's giving me a dirty look right now. All right, so I'll get that one later. The sock ball or a yarn ball, if we miss, that wasn't a hard throw, obviously, but it's going to be more prone to stop. So we're going to be using those balls. Now, in this game when we're playing, just like last week, well, because there's more balls, Mrs. B can leave at any time. So let's say there's no balls in her battleship. She's going to start with 5. She can go anywhere off of the battleship. She can go anywhere and pick up a ball. But before she can throw it, she has to go back to her battleship, and there she can make her throw using the proper overhand throw. So she's back on her battleship. She could throw. Again, remember to point, step, and throw. Mrs. B forgot to point there. That's something that we're still working on with Mrs. B. Point, step, and throw. Now, she would try and knock down the pins on my side. And if they fall, they're down. Now, let's say you're running around to go get a ball, and you accidentally knock over one of your own pins. Just like in Battleship last week, too bad. It's going to stay there. It's down. So if it goes down for any reason, it's down. All right, so those are the basic rules of the game. We're going to go ahead and get started playing. And also, I'm going to show you a version that you can play inside. Here we have a little bit more space, and we're standing. I'm going to show you an inside version that you can do in a little less space. All right, so I'm going to head down to my battleship so we can get started. Mrs. B is going to reset hers. We each have 5 balls to start. You can do more or less. And I showed you how to make the soft balls already, so hopefully you remember how to do that. All right, so each of us has 5 balls to start with. Remember, during the course of the game, we can go anywhere to get one. All right, we're ready, set, go. You can pick up a ball and try and knock down a pin. Again, use your overhand throw. Again, this is going to be a lot more challenging. Both miss it. There we go, I got one. Okay, and then you can go anywhere to get a ball. Collect more than one. You can collect as many as you want, but you have to throw them from your battleship. So sometimes they'll come right to your battleship. Sometimes you have to leave to go get one. Find them as quick as you can, or as quickly as you can. All right, Mr. B does it again. So that's the battleship with the overhand throw. All right, so we're going to take a little break here because Mrs. B is going to make Mr. B clean up all the mess. But that's battleship outside with the overhand throw. Again, once all the pins are down, whoever sank the other team's battleship wins. All right, we're going to head inside after I clean up, and I'll show you an inside version that you can do in a little bit less room. All right, everybody, we're ready for the inside version of Battleship. Now, this one's actually not my preference because we're going to have to play this one because of the close proximity from our knees. So we can't really do a proper overhand throw. You're going to be facing your target. But the better you get at practicing skills like we've been practicing with the overhand throw, the more power you'll be able to get on your throws and the better you'll do at this game anyway. All right, so here's how we set this one up just a little bit differently. Now this one you will have to throw, I'm using air quotes because it's not really a throw, from your knees. So you can get up to collect balls from anywhere, and as you notice in the outside version, the balls are going to fly over. Mrs. B has a bit of an advantage on this one because the door is behind her. There's nothing behind me, so I may have to travel a little bit further. She had a disadvantage in the other game, so evening it out. All right, now, what we're using here for our battleship is much smaller because we're going to be on our knees when we throw. So I'm using exercise mats. You could use something like a pillow or a little blanket, something like that, but make it relatively small. Then we put the pins outside. Now for this version, we have 2 in the front and 2 towards the back. So be careful when you're getting up and down. Remember, if you accidentally knock it over when you're getting up, too bad, it's down, you lost that pin, and once all of your pins are down, your battleship is sunk, and you lose the game. Now, also in this version, in either version actually, you can block the other team throwing the ball, but if you spend all your time trying to block, you can never win the game, because the only way to win the game is knocking over your opponent's cones. All right, so we're about ready to play. I don't know if you can see Tigger there, but hopefully he moves out of the way and does not get hit in the line of fire. We're going to be firing cannonballs here. All right, we are ready to go. We each started with 5 soft balls or yarn balls, just like in the other version. So definitely want to be using something soft inside, just in case you hit something. Be careful if you're playing inside. All right, here we go. Ready, set, go. Bam, look at that. I didn't even need to go get a ball. So, again, more than likely, you're going to miss some and you may have to run. We accomplished that one pretty quick. So again, outside you have a little more room. It's a little bit more of a challenge. You can also use smaller balls and smaller pins to make it a little more challenging. Bigger ball, bigger pins makes it easier. All right, everybody, so that is Battleship, both outside and inside. Have fun. Most importantly, make sure you're practicing your overhand throw in the proper form. Side orientation, point, step, throw. That's it. All right, everybody. See you in the next section.